A lot of people are building careers they're extremely proud of on paper, but they're exhausted in real life. In today's Thrive Now episode, I'm joined by Ange Richard for a grounded, energizing conversation around my absolute favorite topic in the world. Can you guess? Yes, it's career design. I love talking about career design because early in my career, I learned that a career is not a ladder that we climb, but it's something that you intentionally shape around your values, your energy, and the life that you actually want to be living. So that is what I preach, and that is what I continue to preach. And I'm so glad that Ange and I had the opportunity to sit down and talk about this exact topic as well. During our conversation, we talk about reimagining goals, reclaiming our main character energy, navigating today's chaotic job market, and why curating opportunities beats chasing them every single time. This is about stepping back into your authorship of your career story, and I'm so excited that you are here with us today listening to this episode. Before we get started, you know I love a good reflection question, so I'm going to hit you with one that you can pause and journal about or think about before the episode. And then as you're listening to our episode, you'll start to get some tidbits that will help you as you continue to reflect on this question. So this episode's reflection question: where in your career are you chasing what looks impressive instead of curating what actually fits? And what's one small shift you could make to realign with your current values? All right, you know what to do. Let's get into the episode. We wanted to do this impromptu talk about all things career design, making sure that the careers that we're stepping into fit our lifestyles that we want. It took me a while to get into the mindset of designing my life and then designing my career to fit into my life. So I'm glad that we're having this conversation because hopefully we can catch some people earlier on in their journey, or for folks who've been laid off or who are transitioning or pivoting, maybe we're catching them at that time too. So I'll briefly introduce myself. I'm Deja White, founder of Break Room Buddha, and I started off doing career conversations on my blog. Then I went into doing some career coaching and mentoring for my university and some nonprofits. And now I turned it into a lab. Like, I'm really interested on redesigning the way that we work and understanding how technology is playing a hand on that as well. So that's enough about me. I will kick it over to Ange.
Deja, thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to be in this space with you today. We're going to have an amazing conversation. This is awesome. But like Deja said, my name is Ange Richard. I am the founder of Professionally Unprofessional, which is a career coaching and facilitation practice that is all about authenticity, empowerment, and really creating careers that are meaningful and values aligned. So I support early career professionals and I support intergenerational teams, and I help us all work well together. I'm a LinkedIn top voice, I'm a TEDx speaker, and I love to yap. I love to be in a conversation with a good friend. So I'm so excited to be here, Deja. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And I don't want to prolong it any further. So we can hop right into like our first conversation piece. And that's around the moment where you realize that your career goals may not be your career goals. So they could be someone else's, or they were once your career goals and now you've decided to pivot. Like, what has that shift been in your life? And how do you now coach people through moments like that?
So this was a pivotal point in my, I'd say, undergraduate journey where I realized, this path that I'd been taking felt insured, which felt prescribed, something that I would, do and be successful and find the steps to have a long and successful career. We're not quite meeting what Ange wanted, right? So I'm a first-gen low-income college student, and if you're like me and you're first-gen, you have this idea of college education, training is step 2 greater financial mobility, social mobility, economic empowerment. You go to get a secure job, right? You go to get the thing, do the thing that is going to have good returns for you. And there's a lot of ambiguity around, what is this journey supposed to look like? How am I supposed to navigate these tensions that may come up when you've been told, or you think, or you just don't have the access to or options to consider, what's another path for me? I can make up my own path. I can be an entrepreneur. I can do this little side thing that really gives me so much joy, and not just creative freedom, but personal values aligned fulfillment. That just was never in my periphery until the very end of undergrad, when I realized, okay, this K through 6 elementary education major, wonderful, taught me so many things. I'm so glad it's my foundation. I'm an educator through and through. That's my through line in everything I do. I'm not going to be a 30-year veteran teacher in a classroom. Like, I just realized it was not for me. And that has slowly led over the years to this unpacking and reimagining and really redefining for myself, this is what I want my career to look like. I really do have a career that is so constructed and built on many different layers and tenets of my life. I'm a full-time PhD student. I fit that in somehow. I own and manage Professionally Unprofessional, which is giving me opportunities to have conversations like these and take on wonderful clients and do the creative, fun, just energizing things that a typical program or 9 to 5 isn't going to allow me to do. And I work part-time for a university as a career coach. I've packed those all together. I've stepped them all in. I make the puzzle work because it's what aligns with my values. There are some moments where I miss that, going to the office consistency. So I build that into my life. There are moments when I'm feeling a bit of a creative burnout or a rut. And so I take a step back and go toward the things that I can rely on and I know are dependent. But all that's to say, everything I do, I try to the best of my ability to be values aligned, to be very in tune with what is going to fulfill me. And I know that that process is very challenging to go through. It can be very, very disconnected from what the world of work, from what our education systems, from what maybe our parents or our cultures or our religions might tell us about. Here's what it means to be successful. So I love helping people go through that. I love asking folks big questions about, what are your values? What are things that you really enjoy? Like, what makes you tick? What makes you smile? What brings out that excitement in you? Is that something you want to pursue monetarily as a career? Is it something you want to reserve as more of a hobby? What are your non-negotiables, right? So that's my spirit. That's how I approach career coaching and career development. And I just love seeing folks who are early in their career, maybe still in college, maybe figuring out their major, to folks who are in C-suite positions, to folks who are thinking about, what's in this next half of my life. The possibilities are endless, and we all deserve that career reimagining that can come from very values-aligned career development.
Yes, I love that you said like career reimagining. I never considered that, but I'll talk about like the moment for me when I realized like my career goals weren't on the right path. It was early in my career. Well, in college, I went to school for film and TV production. I knew before I graduated that I didn't want to work in the traditional sense of film and TV. I like interned on like production sets and award show sets, and I was like, this feels like we're rushing to wait. So like everything would be a hurry, and then like we'd be waiting for the next hurry thing to happen. I was like, ooh, I don't think I want to do that. Then I thought I wanted to be a writer for film and TV. So I joined a local writer's room, and then that really didn't go anywhere, but at least we wrote an entire like TV show series in that room in a couple of months. But I was like, all right, I got to live out that dream. So I think for me, it was me trying things and living out the dreams that I had in my head for what my career would be. And then once I experienced it, I was like, wait, I don't see myself consistently doing these things, which now I run my life off of experiments. And I always have. Like, I've always had like a steady 9 to 5. And then in the background, I'd be like doing part-time MC work, or I'd be doing like part-time like Instacart and like see the different things in the city. Let me like just do Instacart so I can go around and see the city and learn my city a little bit better. So I'm like, I've always done things that scratched an itch for me. And I think that is how I've been able to shift my goals because I continuously try new things. I'll never forget a moment. It was time for me to get promoted, and one of my supervisors sent me a job that had nothing to do with what I wanted to do in my career. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is what he thinks I want to do. So then I got louder about my career goals as well. But we can talk about this later about not telling people everything that you want to do. So like not your big vision, but like maybe your like itty bitty vision that will help you stair step to that big vision, because not everyone is on your side in the workplace. So we can talk about that a little bit too. But yeah, that's a little bit about me and how my career goals have always shifted and how I'm constantly reimagining them.
I so admire that about your approach in the way that you not only approach content, but approach the work that you do with your clients, the work that you do with young people. I think that that perspective is so needed, right? It's so energizing. It's so fresh. It's just a breath of fresh air. Deja's a breath of fresh air.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm always like, how can we find our childhood dreams and bring them into our adult selves? Children are so pure and they know what they want. And I think outside influences start to make you second guess what you actually wanted. I feel like I should do a study, or someone should do a study about like how many people actually lean into the things that they did as adults and made it like something that they do every day and get paid for. Like, how happy are they in their careers versus the people who steered away from their internal knowing, and like how happy they are in their careers. Like, I want to see that study. I don't know if it exists, but we can look it up. We can look it up. That leads me into the next question about main character energy. I don't even know if main character energy is still a thing anymore, but the main character energy is basically being the person, the star in your life. And I want to talk about being the main character in your career story and not letting other people who may be supporting characters tell you how to live in your career story. What does that look like in your life or with your clients when you talk to them? And how do we make sure we're not becoming performative? I know like some people say like fake it till you make it and things like that, but how do we make sure that we're being authentic and not being super fake when we're on this journey?
So this is something that I have wrestled with for since the second I started doing some entrepreneurial things, having a client, creating content on LinkedIn, going about my day-to-day life as founder, professionally unprofessional, right? Carrying out this brand and vision. Navigating that main character energy, and let me be so clear, that is something that I am still kind of growing into and thinking about in terms of the definition of what it is for me and my spirit. I am not a full-time entrepreneur, right? So main character energy for me is probably like 60% of Ange. And it looks so different for everybody, but I really take it to mean, again, very values aligned decisions and goals. And at least for me, I can feel in my gut when something that I do is not serving me in the way that I want it to, or the way that I had hoped to. So if that, extra post on TikTok, or saying that extra yes to that coffee chat, or signing up for the event that you read more about it and you go, oh no, maybe I shouldn't have signed up for that. That, at least for me, I have a very clear sense within myself of this is values aligned, this is where I want to be spending my time and energy, and this is not where I want to be spending my time and energy. And I think as an early entrepreneur, and especially a young entrepreneur, that definition and that separation, distinction, if it comes for you, is a very slow process, is a very iterative journey, because you want to just grab onto everything. You want to take every opportunity, you want to respond to everyone. But that sustainability starts to dwindle. You cannot do that forever. And so for me, again, main character energy is being super sustainable, very values aligned, and just trying to do the things that will fill me up without tearing me apart in terms of my energy, my time, my work. So earlier this year and kind of into this semester for me, this fall season, I had a moment where I was sitting at my computer, and I kid you not, I probably had 200 tabs open across all of my Chrome profiles. And I sat there and I thought, Ange, you can't keep going on like this. This is just not sustainable. You need to realign, rethink about how you do work for your business, when you're going to have time for deep reading and diving into the literature for your PhD, when you're going to spend time with the students you coach at your university. I started to get very, very clear on that. And that was another, sort of unpacking of this main character energy and making sure that everything I do, I'm giving as much of Ange as I can because I want to. I don't want to do things that are half-baked or not as passionate as they could be or not driven with the knowledge and resources and data that I strive to put into everything that I do, right? So all of that to say, main character energy, taking care of yourself, really finding the things that make you sing and that make you really inspired. It's all iterative. These things change, just like work-life balance changes, just like our positions may change, just like the people we work with may change. These things are all super iterative. But I encourage anyone who's navigating that journey for themselves, really take a step back and look at everything. Look at your calendar, look at your inbox, look at the things you are choosing to do, because as an entrepreneur, you have full control. I mean, I can choose to go build a curriculum right now. I can choose to start a podcast right now. I can choose to do a million things. I am choosing to do the things that I can afford to do, that I have the time to do, that I have the energy to do, and that I think my audience might like. So take that step back, be very reflective. And you do not have to do everything all at once. There is so much time to build and grow. And that kind of helps build the mystery. Like, give yourself that runway so you can sprinkle and tease what you're working on and get your audience on board. That's just a little content tip.
Love that you said that. It made me think of a couple of things because I normally write and post things as they come to me. And two things that you said helped bring some things that I wrote in the past. So one, I made a post on LinkedIn. I think it's a LinkedIn article about like, think before you side hustle. It should also be like, think before you entrepreneur, think before you make moves in your career. And it's just like a giant list of things to think through before you take on anything. It's like, do you have the time? Do you have the money? Do you have the skill set where you're not having to like learn? Like people say like build while you fly, where you're not having to build while you fly. Are you giving yourself enough time to learn the thing? Do you have energy? Like I have friends, they're like, I'm so tired all the time. All they want to do is like go to work and then come home and go to sleep. And on the weekends, they just want to relax and watch TV. So like energy is a big thing. It's a giant list. I won't go through all of it. Underneath the link, this video, I'll drop the link so people can read it. And it's about side hustling, but trust me, I think it applies to all parts of your career. And then the second thing, I am a busybody. I tell like some people, they're like, I want to be like you when I grow up. I'm like, no, you do not. Be like yourself because I have a lot going on. But I think it was yesterday or the day before, I made a post because people asked me to do like a day in the life. And right now I'm in my entrepreneurship era. Like I like freelancing. I like contract. Before this conversation, I was talking to you about like to go full time or to not go full time. These are thoughts that always run through my head. But I made a post about my busybody schedule. Like when people look at my calendar on my phone, they're like, oh my gosh, look at that schedule. I'm like, see, I don't show people my schedule. I don't record day of the lives. I'm like, it's just too much. And like, I don't have the time. But I made a written version of like a day in my week. And I was like, I'm going to 2 networking events. I'm filming 3 podcast episodes. I just ran it all down. Mm-hmm. And then I ended it with a call to action. And I was like, develop your busybody schedule. Understand what your energy levels can maintain. And once you write everything down and you see that, ooh, maybe that doesn't align or I don't feel like doing that, then you just start to remove things, and your work and your life, it becomes centered around who you are, what you believe in, what you value, and that is your main character energy. Instead of calling it your busybody schedule, you can call it your main character energy schedule. But yeah, that's my perspective on it.
When I read your post, I remember like physically opening my mouth, like, oh my gosh, this girl is killing it. And Deja does so much, and so much of it is intentional. So I know that her busybody is embodying her main character energy. She's pouring into and doing the things that are meaningful to her, that are going to grow her brand, that are going to grow Break Room Buddha, that are going to grow the things that she wants to do. And she's putting herself in situations that are not compromising aspects of her identity, aspects of her, practice, the way that she would approach these situations. Deja is the blueprint. Okay. She is awesome. One more thing I want to add really quick around like burnout and work-life balance. Someone in our space, she's a very popular LinkedIn creator. I think she lives in New York City or was traveling to New York City. She shared a post recently about how she just worked so hard that she put herself like sick on the couch for a week, unwell, had to miss all of these events, had to miss like a partnership, had to miss a creator event. She was so sick with stress. She had stretched herself so thin. She was not getting sleep. She was not eating. And she is a very, you look at her, you look at her content, you look at the things she does, everything seems peachy, right? And that's just it was such a stark reminder for me. And I had so much empathy for her. You can only pour so much. You can only do so much. And so when you see folks who are out and about and they are constantly at things, or it seems like they are going, think about their energy, think about their sustainability, think about all these other factors, and realize there's probably a lot that they are sacrificing or potentially going through, and maybe those things will shift over time. Again, it's all so individualized, it's all so personal, but that post from that creator just gave me a real pause and a step back of, okay, like Ange matters, Deja matters. Like we need to take care of ourselves to such a high degree that we can keep being the successful folks that we are. And we need to embody and portray that sustainability and that balance and that intentionality that we want to see in the folks that we work with.
Yeah, I will say I've said this before, that I think being a creator is like working a 9 to 5 and being a business owner at the exact same time. And I don't think most people realize that. And I've rejected the term creator for many reasons. That being mostly that because I don't want the pressure of that on me, but also I've started aligning myself closer with people who are business owners, specifically small business owners, because they have systems and they will teach you their blueprints. And I'm like, I'm starting to etch over more towards the small business folks. I had a conversation earlier and someone was talking about the founder mindset as well, and how that space is drastically different than like the creator mindset or the small business mindset or even the 9 to 5 mindset with a side hustle. Just so many different types of ways to work and build your career. And I think just finding people who embody what you would like to do in your own career or how you would like to live in your life is so, so important. And I'm glad that people are starting to open up on LinkedIn about the pressures of being a creatorpreneur or just a creator or just an entrepreneur or a founder or a 9 to 5 with brand partnerships and side hustles. Like it's a lot, not to scare you, but it can get intense if you don't balance it out and take things that naturally fill you up. So yeah.
So well said. Yes. Gotta find your own internal what's going to work for me, because what's going to work for me is probably not going to work for Deja, and vice versa. And it applies to anybody who's watching, right? Get really reflective on that and talk to someone in the space, talk to someone who has a side hustle or has an entrepreneurial, endeavor that they're working on. Talk about it. I think we need to get more open about it. And I love that trend is happening.
Awesome. Okay. It took me a while to get to this side of me. Like I've been doing Break Room Buddha maybe 6 or 7 years, but early into my career, I focused strictly on 9 to 5. I did my side hustles and I did Break Room Buddha on the side and didn't tell anybody. They were like, "What's the link?" And I'm like, I'm not going to give it to you. But speaking for people like me who was very shy, like I didn't want to share what I was doing, what do you think stops them from taking that full control and stepping into the things that they really want to do in their career? Is it fear, confusion? Are they in their comfort zone and don't want to step out? Like, what are you hearing with your clients or just in general?
So again, I think this is so personal and individualized, and I would probably put it in a couple of different camps, right? I would say that there are intrinsic factors and some extrinsic factors. So let's start extrinsic. Looking at early career professionals, right? Looking at Gen Z, looking at our hustly bustly, youngest folks in the workplace, they are dealing with a very tumultuous market, right? There is a lack of entry level jobs. Jobs are often being replaced with AI. We are seeing employers less interested in hiring and more interested in securing, and folks are not leaving. So there's all of this tumult in the world of work. Job security is such a huge value for Gen Z, and it's not just the 9 to 5, because we see Gen Z micro shifting, right? Picking up kind of what I do, kind of how I would classify my work, putting a bunch of pieces together to make a full work week. We see career minimalism, right? So there's a misalignment. And if it were me, right, if I was a young person navigating the world of work, maybe I'm living in a medium cost of living, high cost of living city, I have bills to pay, I have student loans, I need health insurance, I'm going to seek out that 9 to 5 that can keep me secure in the ways that we often think of as security. And for very good reason, right? A 9 to 5 provides a ton of stability. And a lot of folks appreciate that consistency in their own professional development, in their career growth, what have you. So there's those extrinsic factors of the world of work and how challenging it can be to sort of find your way when the economy is maybe shifting a little bit, right? Rent is really high. Jobs are not as readily accessible or available. It's very hard to gain experience, right? That concept of foot in the door, I just need a foot in the door. That foot's going to be kicking the door for a long time, right? It's very, very hard to justify, and for not great reason, but it is hard to justify why you deserve that marketing coordinator job, right? Why you are deserving of that internship, let's say. So there's these extrinsic factors that I think can hold a lot of people back. And if they have to weigh, let me go all in on my entrepreneurial journey, let's give it a try, or let me have my $90,000 salary in this job that's kind of just pedaling me along, but it is a job and I'm not going to have to stress or worry about varying incomes month to month. I get it. I totally get it. And also putting in that extra time at the end of the day to, let's say, film content, create something, write something, whatever it is that you're doing. It's a commitment, right? So extrinsic. I think intrinsic, right? There could be fear of failure. Nobody likes to fail, especially not publicly. I've gotten more used to that. I've gotten a little bit more comfortable with that. I posted on LinkedIn that I hosted an event last month and nobody showed up. And that was a big moment for me to share the ups and downs, the highs and lows. I pride myself on being able to share those things, and that's what my business is all about. And after that, getting over that fear of failure, I had so many folks in my comments affirming me. I had DMs from people who have been following me for years and I've never heard from before. It was just such a nice affirmation that we all need to be more open and transparent, right? So I think fear of failure and failing publicly, of course, gets people like, absolutely not. That's not for me. I think also potential values, right? If you grew up in a setting that was not entrepreneurial, it can be really hard to identify what that might look like for you. So your values might be more oriented to the stable job or the secure job or the right job, let's say. That can have a huge impact. It could be confusion too. There is a lot that you can do when it comes to being an entrepreneur, right? You don't need an LLC, but should you have an LLC? What kind of work are you doing? What systems are you going to have in place? How do you want to manage it? A lot of people get an idea down on paper and they think about the very short term. And then when it comes to actually sustaining that idea and building from it and thinking about what even 4 weeks from now could look like, we throw in the towel, right? We're like, I cannot be consistent with that. I didn't even think about what 90 days from now is going to look like. There's a lot of upfront work that has to happen. So put it in those intrinsic, extrinsic camps. There is a lot out there, but I always encourage folks, and I think we're all inherently creative. We all have ideas. We all have things that we really love. Think about it as a potential money earner, a career, a way you can volunteer, a way you can help. I bet there's a way to fit it into your life.
Yeah, I love that you said that because I have a question around treating your career as if you are a creative director instead of just as like an employee or a job seeker. If people started to move like they were creative directors or they were like directing a movie, like we're keeping on track with the main character energy. Like what are the pieces that need to be in place as a creative director to direct your career journey?
It does go so hand in hand with the main character energy. I think it all really starts with a reframe, right? A reimagining of what your career is to you. Because to a lot of us, it is the thing that makes me money. It's just a job. It is a means to an end. It's the thing that I go to every day. I don't even think of it as career. It's just I leave the house and this is what I do, right? So reimagining what career means for you, what that definition is step one. And you don't have to be clear on everything. These things ebb and flow, but some things that may come to mind are I need to feel passionate about what I do, right? I don't like working with clients over the phone. I need to be in person. I need that human to human exchange. Again, so many examples of what this could look like, but those are just a few to kind of get the ideas turning. Right, creative director, how empowering. How cool. You are driving the production. You are on set. You are getting the producers in there, you're getting the camera folks, you're doing the boom, you're doing sound check. It is all on you. And that can be really daunting for a lot of folks. I have this conversation with a lot of my students around agency and how I want them to feel empowered and in control. Taking that control is a very scary prospect, right? Knowing that it's on you can feel incredibly daunting, but I don't say it's on you to mean that you're the only one that has to, deal with this or go through it, or you can only rely on yourself. I mean that to say you have the power to make these decisions. You have the power to bring in the mentors that you need. You have the power to hire and fire those producers. You have the power to think about what is my career going to shape up to? And what do I want that shape to look like? How do I want that to grow and evolve? So to me, the idea of creative director is incredibly empowering and liberating and so freeing from any potential chains or ideas that I might have around what career is supposed to mean. And I think younger folks are shifting those values too, right? A lot of us are not necessarily wanting to work for work's sake, right? We're not really interested in this strong sense of loyalty. We're more interested in self-expression and authenticity and balance and figuring out how does this thing factor into my life. So, creative director, I love that. I'm going to start calling myself creative director professionally and professional. Forget founder. I'm creative director.
You should. And as you were talking, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to write like a blog post. I'm a blogger at heart. I was like, I need to write like a post about like reframing your career journey like a movie, like you're building a movie from scratch. And I'm like, I can put my hat on. I don't use my degree often, but I will use it for this sense.
I can't wait to read that. Hey, I was just doing, what are career moves as like exercises or yoga poses? So you've got, what's career as a creative director? How do you set
Wait
up?
a second. Did you write that post or did you have an event about like career moves as exercise?
I know, no event, but I did write a post about it. Yeah.
I think you should make an event called Career Moves, and it's an exercise event, and then you also do some career designing at the event. This could be great. I think
Let me write that down.
okay, once a marketer, always a marketer. I'm always thinking about events and activation.
You're so good. I love it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, yes. Okay. Let's talk about some like action steps. I'm a non-fluffy girl and I like to get to the business and the action and the solutions. Like, what's the first step? They're like, all right, I have decided to rethink how I look at careers. It's not just one job. It's an entire plan that I want to get on. What are like the things that they need in order to begin? Do they need to start with vision? Do they need to look at their skill set, values, curiosity? Like, what needs to be in this pot to get them thinking about career redesign or career planning?
So leave nothing off the table, right? To those few categories you mentioned, right? Skills, values, I'd add in goals, I'd add in preferences, right? Because sometimes the things that we're good at, we don't really want to be doing in our career. And I am so that person. So, there can be things that, we're really, really skilled at, but we don't want to translate into a particular role or title or thing that we pursue on the side. Goals, skills, values, interests, right? Preferences. Getting that all clear, and whether for you that means having a big piece of paper and writing it all down, if it means using a reflective exercise that takes you through prompts, great. I have one of those. Contact me, hit me up, we can go through that together. If that means a whiteboard, if you need to, I like an audio voice message, get it all on the table. Get it all on the table. Do not leave anything off, right? Put it all out there. Then you can start to figure out, where do the pieces start to stack up? Where do they start to link together? Where do they feel disconnected from sort of the central themes that you're starting to unpack? And honestly, Deja, I know you leverage AI a lot in your work, and we think about how AI can be helpful here. This is where AI can be your really good friend. You can use something like Google's Career Dreamer, which is literally a play-by-play of what I'm telling you, more or less, right? It's asking you, to identify some skills and trainings you've had and interests you have, goals, all of these things to help you understand what some potential titles or avenues might look like for you, right? It's a starting point. Leveraging other prompts, and I know Deja has a bunch on her website and on her LinkedIn. She's got a ton to help you unpack some of those questions if you need a support or resource right there with you. I would then bring in people. People are your power. People are incredible. We do so much in isolation, and we think we need to move. Moving silently isn't the same as moving isolated, right? I try to my best effort to bring in a mentor or a sounding board or someone I can partner with in just about everything that I do. And yes, that takes time, but it also allows me to hear different perspectives, to get out of Anja's head, because this head is just thinking one way, right? To be questioned, to be critiqued, to be challenged on something. I value that so much. And I think we can all benefit, whether that is a career coach, whether that is a mentor you've had for a long time, could be your partner, could be a friend. Get somebody in the room with you as you contemplate all of these things. And then step 3 is figuring out, what is one action I can take today to get myself closer to these values, these goals, these interests, these preferences. I think a lot of times, again, we get so bogged down or overwhelmed by the fact that I need to upend my whole life. I need a title change. I have to leave my job. I should do all these things. One small thing. What's one thing that you can commit to? Maybe that is a weekly thought leadership post on LinkedIn. Maybe it is starting a newsletter. Hey, it could just be building kind of your book of business. Build all those contacts. Get that spreadsheet out and think back in the Rolodex. Who is in there that I want to reach out to about my ideas? Maybe it's making 5 new connections that are outside of your industry each week. Little things. Give yourself SMART goals, right? Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time-bound. One thing that you could do tomorrow that you could start. Keep it simple. The ball will get rolling, and then you add in that second thing. Once that confidence starts to grow, once you're feeling more empowered, once you're starting to put that hat on of creative director, the path will follow, right? The ball will keep rolling and it'll keep growing bigger. And that's what I would do if you're just getting started. If you're really in this position of, I have so much at my fingertips, I need to figure out what it means, get it all out on the table, bring in people to talk about it with, or leverage AI to the best of your ability, and then pick one small thing that you could start doing tomorrow to take action on it.
I love that you said that, because someone posted the other day, and they talked about hiring like a resume writer and hiring a bunch of other people to bring along with them on their journey. And I made a comment and a post like I always do. And I was like, I think the idea of bringing all of the people that you pay for is reserved to people who are starting from scratch a lot of times, or people who are in career pivot. Like they've been somewhere for 10 years and now they need like a career turnaround for a lot of those like more expensive services, because she was diving into expensive services. And I give you that context because it's very similar to what you just said, the advice that I gave her. I said you have to move beyond paper. In this case, her paper was her resume and she felt like she was stuck. And your example, the paper is I'm in this role that I no longer like and I feel like I'm stuck. So I'm like, it takes beyond the paper. It takes proximity. So that's like getting very close to the people and the things that you say that you want to do and embodying that once you step into that role or that space. But it also takes a little bit of personal branding. Like so I don't know if you know Walter. You'll see his page popping up around my LinkedIn because I comment on a lot of his stuff. But we had like a go between in comments, and I was like, you have to show and tell. So like you tell people that you can do the thing and you want to do the thing, but now you have to start to show that you can do the thing and not just say that you can do the thing. So it's paper, going beyond the paper. You need your paper, but going beyond the paper, proximity, and then personal branding. So that show and tell piece. So I love that you said all of those things because all of these frameworks that you hear are very similar. It's just how you choose to approach it and how you choose to get your voice out there as well. All right. I think this might be a good one to end on, especially as we're looking at people who want full-time jobs or people who, like you mentioned, I've never heard of like you said like micro
shifting.
You also said something else right after micro shifting. You
Career
said
minimalism.
Yes, career minimalism. Okay, let's go into those topics a little bit. And I
Sure.
want to hear your views on curating opportunities versus chasing opportunities as it relates to maybe micro shifting and career minimalism.
How many times can I say values on one podcast? Let's go for the gold. It really does all come down to your values, right? If you are throwing usually a resume, right? If you're throwing a resume at something and hoping that it sticks without taking the time to think about, is this a great role for me? Do I have my content narrated in such a way that someone reading this is going to go, yep, that person's a good fit for this? Have I talked to someone about it? If you're throwing things on the wall and hoping they stick, you're not going to have a lot of success, right? And so the job market elicits this pressure to do that because you think, okay, this role's released. I have to apply. I don't have time to tailor it. I'm not getting responses anyway. I might as well just chug and throw, right? I encourage everyone I meet with, and I practice this in my own life, apply to the positions, apply to the opportunities that are as values aligned and close to your goals as possible, right? So embracing that career minimalism or micro shifting, or if you're an entrepreneur or you're in your 9 to 5 and you're navigating a new role, if you're career pivoting, I think this applies to everybody. We should be moving with a lot of intention and genuine effort to put the best of ourselves forward, right? This idea of, going after things, and we should all be going after things. But I would like to say and end us out on think of that difference really in your head of like chasing versus curating. Curating is explicitly for you. You are designing it. You are moving with intention. You are thinking about that opportunity as something that's going to fit very well into your life. It's a title that feels right. It's a role that feels right. It's on a team that feels right. It's an opportunity you're taking that feels right. That's curating. Chasing is getting out of breath and not really knowing what's in front of you and hoping that it could be a good fit, and you're just sputtering. Your wheels are turning with no end in sight, right? How good would curating feel? I would just encourage us to think about those two dimensions and think about, okay, how can I build my resume that way? How can I look for jobs that way? How can I connect to people that way? Chasing is going to leave you on red, ghosted, disappointed, and gutted every single time.
And I think that's a beautiful place to end. And I know some people have responsibilities and they have children, they have bills, they have a lot of things. Even if you're recently graduated, you also have responsibilities. So by no means are we saying spend all your time in curation mode. Sometimes you do need something that's a little bit stable. So those micro shiftings, I'll say like a lot of the work that I do when I'm not doing full time, it's micro shifting. Like I'm stacking contract roles, I'm doing freelance, I'm reaching out, and I'm turning into a salesperson. Like you're a salesperson when you're on the job hunt, but you're really a salesperson when you're looking for contracts or freelance gigs or clients to bring on to your small business that you are operating essentially. Always look for what feels stable to you, so that you don't feel like you're on a treadmill. But at the same time, when you get some stable ground underneath you, make sure you're curating your experiences so that you don't burn yourself out. So I think that's a great way to end. Yeah.
Perfectly said. Thank you so much for having me, Deja. This is an awesome chat.
Of course. And how can people find you?
Folks can find me on LinkedIn. Just search Ann Richard. I should pop up. And at Early Career Corner on Instagram and TikTok if you like more short form video content.
Perfect. All right, y'all. See you all next time. If today's conversation sparked something, a realization, a question, a sense of permission, pay attention to it. It is for a reason. You don't need a 5-year plan to take ownership of your career. You need clarity, honesty, and the courage to make small moves that honor your energy and your values. If this resonated, please leave us a comment, rate this episode, and share it with someone who is quietly considering their next move or pivoting or reconsidering or whatever space they're in. If they are in a career junction, send this to them. They need it more than you know. And if you're redesigning your career, even in a subtle way, drop that vision into my dream database. You're allowed to evolve, edit, and choose something different over and over again every couple of months, every year, every quarter. It doesn't matter. You can keep shifting as you learn and discover more about yourself. Remember, this is your story and you get to curate it always, not your external people, not your friends, not your family, not your coworkers, not your supervisor, you and you alone. With the right support, you are the one shaping your story in real time. So, as always, please continue to thrive today. Don't wait for tomorrow. And I will see you on the next episode.